Hello everyone, it is the Almighty Jeff, and this is episode 2 of Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series. Last time we completed episode 1 of the game, we actually finished the storyline aspect of it. Today we're going to have a go at the Lightsaber Dojo. Now there are plenty of rounds of this. I got this wrong. In fact, there are, I think, about 40 different waves of Lightsaber Dojo, and there are trophies for completing chapters the 10th level, the 20th, the 30th, and the 40th, and then an extra one for earning all the stars on them. Given the percentage of how many people have done it, it seems like it's going to be difficult. But I'm going to give it a shot. I hope it's not too bad. But we shall have to see. I don't know how we are scored on points in this. But I guess we'll just have to try as we do. Okay. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, technical hiccup. Should be on track now. Okay, round number 1. I don't know if it's based on time or damage taken or anything like that. Okay, that was quick. Green Kyber Crystal. Okay, cool. I can change my blade. I did get... Okay. So I take it we need to beat the best then. So I need to get under 5 seconds. Okay, well now that I know what I'm doing. I think that, I don't know if they're all based on time. I should have done it then, surely. There we go. Okay, cool. What can we guess? Right then, let's see how we do. Ah! Oh, I think I just missed it then. Try that again. There we go. Not easy, this. Okay, I think that should be 3. Yes. Okay. Nothing getting trickier every time. That much is for certain. Do you get it? Do or do not. There is no try. Jedi wisdom, but I was training with Vader. Check the dojo timer. You'll lose 1 Imperial Commendation every time it reaches 0. Alright. Level 5. Unleashed? What do you mean unleashed? Okay, so it doesn't actually matter on health, that one. Okay. Just how many eliminations you do. Fair enough. Oh, hello, you're different. What? I blocked that. I literally blocked that. I think we're in time with that one. Yes, I know. We're up. Sweet. Number 6 done. 7 out of 40. Oh god. Getting out of hand now, there are 2 of them. Okay, it's been a little while. Hopefully this doesn't go too badly. I finally got 3 stars. Jesus Christ, that took me a lot. This is rough. I've signed myself up for something here, haven't I? Okay, so I have changed up the way that I've decided to do the commentary from this point on. So this is all post-game. I'm now talking through this gameplay, basically, after I have completed all 40 levels, which, let me tell you, took a while. The raw files combined added up to about 7 hours. It took me to get through all 40 levels overall, so yeah. So I thought it might be a little bit better rather just be not talking whilst I'm concentrating or swearing at the game or just basically saying, thank God, what have I signed myself up for after every level? I figured I'd rather just concentrate on playing the game as I actually play them and then just talk over it a little bit later. Yeah, this is a lot more difficult than I was anticipating that it was going to be. I don't know how much of that is just the game itself being slightly buggy or slightly unfair. I know there are definitely some levels that are heavy on RNG for you to get 3 stars. Or 3 Imperial Commendations as it is called in game. Also partly the fact that my setup in my bedroom is not exactly ideal for playing a VR game. So there were times that, for example, the lightsaber, but which was obviously being controlled by my PlayStation Move controller, would start to bug out because the camera wasn't picking it up quite well enough for something like that. But yeah, this is just going to be basically me running through the rest of the challenges. Of course, every 5 challenges is a Unleashed round, which we're about to see in a moment. So, yeah. These ones are relatively okay. These ones are a little bit of a nice welcome break because of the fact that you can take damage with these. It's all about how many kills you get, and most of those are going to be from those little droids as they pop up in front of you. That's definitely the way to do them. It is quite interesting going back and watching me play these early levels, just seeing how much easier they are compared to the later levels that I did. As you can see, obviously I took damage there, but it doesn't actually impact how many stars you get, as it does in every other level. In fact, I'm doing really poorly on this one, aren't I? The only one which was very determined how well you would do depending on how much damage you took was the last one, which you'll see in level 40, which was a nightmare because you basically had to survive for 5.5 minutes with some particularly nasty ones, but I won't spoil that one just yet. These droids, I don't know what it was that I exactly picked up on the tip, that they are very easy to defeat. If you direct one of the blaster bolts towards them, it will kill them instantly, and also if you literally, they take 1 hit basically. So there you go, I got my first trophy for beating the 10 levels. And the reward you get in this is that you will occasionally get some hints and tips about the game, like how to win certain fights, which you should really pay attention to because there are a few that are really nasty, and they get particularly brutal the further along that you go. And then sometimes you will unlock other sabers as well, which I do end up showing them all off at some point during this. So we've got this new one now. They come with a force field, which means you've got to hit them with a bolt first and then quickly hit them with another. So usually if you... Again, this was one of them tricks it took me a while to sort of, not exactly perfect because it's still a little bit glitchy, but to do better at actually deflecting the bolts back at them, you've got to sort of push the blade towards the droid. It didn't always work, but it got to a point where it started working a little bit better, and then later on there are certain droids that can take... you can direct them towards certain droids and it'll take health off or actually destroy them, which could be really beneficial in the later levels. Sometimes you will see me sort of do like fades, because overall I did try and just show the successful attempt, but there are other times where I would maybe get only 2 commendations. But then, because I finished the level, it would still give me, like, the Jedi Wisdom or the Lightsaber. So I would cut in to show me actually getting the reward, but then only show you my actual 3-star successful attempt. So if you're wondering what those transitions are sometimes, that's what that is. But yeah, also another trick with those particular droids that we're working on at the moment, you can actually quickly strike them before they strike you. So if they've got the lightsaber overhead ready to hit, as you can see, you've got the purple one there. You can quickly swipe at them if you're close enough, and it will take them out most of the time in one hit. When I say all these hints, I say most of the time. Again, I don't know if it's because my setup isn't as great, but there were times that I would do the tricks that I'd sort of learned. And actually, this is where I changed my saber for the first time, so we're going to try the green one that I picked up a little while ago. But there's certain times that I would try those tricks, and for some reason it just would not work. And I think that was the biggest part of the frustration was actually just getting through these levels, knowing that I was doing everything right, but for some reason the game just, like, I don't know if I was, like, deflecting a shot or, like, a lightsaber strike and it just going through the saber. And obviously, other than the unleashed rounds, taking any damage at all immediately negates you from getting 3 commendations, which is what I was aiming for, to get all the trophies for this. But yeah. Obviously, usually, like, after you do an unleashed round, the first couple of rounds introduce you to a new enemy type. They're a bit quicker, and then they'll start mixing them up with the other ones you've faced. But particularly if you're primarily focusing on the little... as you can see, in that case, where I did strike him first, but it didn't kill him for some reason. And yeah, here's another example where I originally got 2 stars and got the wisdom stuff, but then I didn't actually. Then on another attempt I got the 3 stars, which is what you just saw. But yeah, the ones where you actually got the droids that shoot at you, occasionally they can be the most RNG rounds that it can be, because you've got to rely on them spawning in front of you like that. Because there's a particular level I remember, I think it was level 23 possibly. I'll know it when I see it, but there was one where it introduced a new kind of droid and you had to kill them all within a certain time frame to get credit for doing in time for 3 commendations. And there was absolutely no way you could do it if they spawned too far and away from you. You had to take down at least like 3 or 4 of them instantly, like as they're popping up out the floor. So obviously if they don't pop in front, right in front of you, you cannot hit them, which means you immediately have to restart the level until you get lucky enough that they do, which I don't like. I think one of my major things that I'm not a massive fan of this game mode is the rushness of it. If it was if you could take as long as you needed to, just it was dependent on how much damage you took that impacted the commendations, this would be a lot better, because you could be more patient. Because you're constantly feeling like you have to rush in order, because basically any missed attempt at killing one of the droids, for a lot of those times, can mean that it will cost you a commendation, which means you've got to rush, which I get that we're not actually doing Jedi training at the moment, we're doing like Sith training, we're Vader's apprentice in this game, and we're not Jedi in training. Because obviously one of the main Jedi mantras is patience and trust in the Force, all that stuff, whereas the Sith obviously go more for focusing on your aggression and being on the attack, which I suppose is the reason why there's a time limit on most of these levels. But yeah, it definitely made things a lot more difficult having to rush. Especially when it comes to taking out like the tougher droids that will end up coming up in the future levels. Because you're too focused on just trying to swipe at it as much as you can in order to take it down as quickly as possible. Where I feel like definitely if I could just sort of take my time with it and just go slow and focus on the defense, would have been a lot easier. Yeah, I'm really struggling with these early levels, aren't I? But thankfully the blaster droids only do 1 block of damage for every hit, whereas the droids themselves do a little bit more. I think they do naturally 2 damages, and then if you allow them to get a second hit in, where the saber will visibly become more electric. I think it takes off 3 to 4, depending on how aggressive and how leveled up the droid is. You'll see him popping up. Anyway, obviously I know I'm talking a lot at the moment. This is not going to be for the whole thing. I'm just sort of reflecting on the experience at the moment, but then I think I'll probably only pop up if I've got anything relevant to say in future, like how to deal with certain new types of enemies and such. I'm not talking your ear off for the whole thing. But yeah, this was definitely one of the trickiest things that I've had to do. And in fact, because I actually have a profile on the website PSN Profiles, which tracks all your trophies, getting all 120 Imperial Commendations on this dojo is, in fact, the rarest trophy that I've ever earned. And I've got about 3,010 trophies or something like that, I think, last time I checked. I've played a lot of games, I've platinumed a lot of games, and getting all the commendation on this is, as of today, well, as of when I got this, the rarest trophy that I've ever got in PlayStation, which just goes to show how difficult this is. Actually, like, finishing all 40 levels is probably not that difficult. Speaking of which, obviously, this is a new enemy now. These ones are a little bit tougher than the standard droids. As you can see, because the staff is electrified, it will do more damage if it hits you. But we're aiming not to get hit at all, because that would immediately cost me a commendation anyway. But yeah, the best trick with these guys is to deflect the shot and then just swipe quickly and take them down. If you had more time, like if you keep deflecting all the shots, eventually they'll just get into like a stunned mode and they'll just start flailing around like mad. But obviously we're on the clock, really, so you just want to use that gap after deflection to strike them. These ones are, yeah, when they start flying like that, they're a bit more challenging. I don't think we've got to the stage where they'll start to actually clash with your saber yet. I think that comes at a little bit later, but those ones are tough because that seems particularly, I can never quite like 100% work against that every single time. But yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I would, you know, I would have quite happily have just gone through all 40 levels, but there is a trophy for getting all 3 stars. Of course I would have got 3 stars even if there wasn't a trophy. But yeah, yeah, I don't believe I showed the transition here where I actually switched over to my yellow saber. But yeah, that is what I did. I switched over to the yellow one. But yeah, you will see ultimately all of the different sabers will unlock as we get the commendations. But yeah, they don't affect anything at all other than just the texture of the saber. You don't get better damage and all that. Actually, would have been nice. But no, you don't. Mind you, I suppose the saber always does the same amount of damage. You don't particularly doesn't get it impacted by that. It's always the same level of damage, even in the series proper. But never mind. But yeah, obviously, it's very important that you use you fully utilise the headphones doing this mod, so you can hear which droid's going to attack you, because they'll come at you in 3s. So you need to be able to tell which one is going to come at you. But yeah, always best to try and get those little shooter droids and prioritise if they do pop in front of you. But obviously not at the expense of, if you hear like a droid about to strike you, leave it. Go for the droid instead. But yeah. Yeah, and also if you do see me if you see the camera moving around weirdly, it's probably me readjusting my headset, because it is quite a slippy thing, especially if you're doing this for quite a few hours at a time. It can get a little bit sweaty, which means it can move around a lot. You get quite, yeah, you get the picture. Well, yeah, as you can see, always keep an eye out, especially as soon as you take down one of those droids, see if another one pops up, because they don't infinitely respawn, but if there's a chance that you can take them out before they actually get far enough away that you have to deflect the blaster bolts at them, it can go a lot quicker, and they can really slow you down if you leave too many of them towards the end, because obviously The rate at which they shoot at you is quite random, because they can like they could dance around for like 5 seconds before they decide to actually shoot at you, and if you're coming up to the final seconds for you to earn 3 stars, it can obviously kill the run. So try and take them out if you can, but like I said, it is completely random where it is they actually spawn in the floor, whether they spawn right in front of you or right towards the back. At the same time, if you are confident enough, it's actually could be quite beneficial, because the ones without the shields only take 1 blaster bolt to destroy. So if you want to take advantage of the fact that they shoot you about 2 to 3 times and deflect one of them towards one of the other droids, it can only help. But I was never quite confident enough to be able to realistically do it. But later on, you will encounter more of the shooter droids that shoot like far more times, like 5 or 6 times. And then you can sort of reliably try and deflect a few of them before you deflect it back at it, so to speak. But yeah. They're getting alright now. The levels are relatively short compared to how far they get. Got the red Kappa crystal. Excellent. Yeah. The levels themselves get much longer the further along you go, as you would expect, which means it got particularly harder and a lot more frustrating if someone got a dodgy hit, and you were doing really well, you got in through several minutes, and then, the game cheats you. Because it does cheat you. Again, this could just be my setup, but there were many times that I definitely 100% deflected a saber, and they would just hit through it and you would take damage. It was total BS, but through time and perseverance I got there in the end. I was dedicated. There was a time, I think, getting to level 9 was actually... That took several hours of itself. And there was a point where I was thinking, like, am I gonna just skip this and then just do the 3 actual main sort of story parts of the game and just ignore the dojo? But I'm kind of glad that I stopped through it to the end, because I am really sort of proud of the fact that I have actually got through this overall. It took me a ridiculous amount of time, but I'm so glad that I managed to do it in the end. Like I said, it's netted me the rarest trophy I have on my list at the moment, so that ain't half bad. But yeah, obviously this is just another Unleashed round, so it's just try and get as many kills as you can, really. But it's definitely the little those droids that you shoot at that will get you the majority of those kills. There you go, there's my trophy for reaching 20 levels. See, we just about got it there. Just a few kills over. There we go, level 21. I think this introduces a new type. I think this is the one where the think about. Yes, it is. Okay. These ones would be. I think yeah, it was one of these levels. Like that. You've got to hold your saber up right in front of you, and you've got to let the droid fly into it. The blade remotes, that's what they're called. Otherwise they will damage you. And quite often there were a few times that I was holding the saber in front of it and it just went through it again. But that wasn't as big an issue as the others. Yeah. We'll switch over to the purple. And I'd say it's like, oh yeah, look, we're Mace Windu. But we will actually later on actually unlock Mace Windu's lightsaber. So, yeah. But one of these levels... I can't remember, I think it was level 23, was very RNG based, because you can see how short the time limit is on it might have been that level actually. If all those droids spawn way in the background, like, you can imagine there is no chance in hell that you're going to do that in that very short time limit that they give you, so you've got to basically rely on it's spawning right in front of you, or at least a vast majority of them spawning in front of you, so you can destroy them before they can get away from you. But, we're just unlock Qui-Gon's lightsaber. We've unlocked all the colours now, basically. You will, from now on, unlock specific Jedi's lightsabers. I think it was level 23 now, actually. Obviously 22 was equally as bad, but this one was... I was on this one for a while. You can see how many of those droids they spawn in. There's no way that you can do that, like, just waiting for them to fly in. I think with this I even got it to like 2 milliseconds before the timer went out. Well, 1 second and like 1.5 seconds really. But yeah. But I always found like the one before the Unleash was always the most difficult, but particularly the ninth levels. So like level 9, level 19, 29 and 39 were always the ones that I'd get stuck on for, you know, it's like 40 minutes to an hour sometimes. Yeah, this one wasn't too bad. But yeah, the Unleashed ones are sort of a welcome break, because once you've got up through all these levels where you have to constantly restart because some dodgy droid is giving you damage. And then you can have a level where you don't need to worry about all that. You can see just how many of these droids are spawning in such a short time limit. It's complete BS. Whether you can get through the levels or not in time. I think this is the one where I got to like milliseconds. That was like, yeah, look at that, less than half a second out, and then I would have had to redo the level again. That is the that is the BS indeed. But there we go. We're now at level 25. So just combining the new enemies you've got. You can see the damage there, but doesn't matter. I can't remember, does this one... I think this one might just have these droids. Which at least the one-hit kills, and most of them are easily deflected. Seems these ones don't fire at you either. So... rack up those kills. It's interesting, this game mode introduces you to so many more enemies than you actually encounter in the main story, but there's no like training room, for example, where it sort of teaches you how to defeat these particular droids before you have to face them in the challenges. And there is one particular one they literally introduced to you in the last round, which completely goes against how you've defeated every other droid. Obviously you'll see that in level 40, I'll talk about it then. But yeah, that was that droid was particularly BS, I think. See, there's proof there. You probably saw that. Saw it go right through my saber. Like if that was in a normal round and I'd gotten several minutes in, and that is what ended the no damage challenge, you can see how that could be incredibly annoying. I've got Obi-Wan's lightsaber. Larger training droids cannot be parried. So when a lightsaber clash, push towards your opponent, that's what it is. Lightsaber clashes. Even though it says, even then, look at that. You can see how pretty well I would say I did. Only got 2 over. Yeah, those lightsaber clashes, I know it says push towards it, but when I tried it, it very often just did not work. Like, it's almost like the saber would go through their saber, which means that I would take damage. So, but then there are some times that I did it, and it did work. So, yeah, these are the tougher droids now. Pretty similar strategy to the secondary droids that we faced in the last group of waves. Just sort of block, strike, but they take a few more hits. But these are the ones that can do lightsaber clashes, and they do hit a lot more aggressively and quicker than the others. Yeah, I think we're actually coming up to one. Yeah, so that is an example of a lightsaber clash. And as you can see, there it worked. And many times I did that exact same thing, and it just would not. So, yeah, but those are pretty much the toughest droids you're going to face now, like I said, until level 40, when they introduce one new droid in the very last level. But I think now we have faced off with all of the unique droids that feature in this dojo thing. Like I said, until level 40. So I'm not quite sure what else I should probably talk about. Just, yeah, you just gotta get lucky with those clashes. Sometimes they just don't work out for whatever reason. So that can cause a lot of frustration. Yeah, it takes a lot of patience to get through all these levels. Like I said, it took me 7.5 hours, did it over the course of, I think, like about 5 different nights. Which is why this episode is coming out so late, because not only is this taking me so long to do it of its own accord, you know, I've got to do this between work, between all other stuff going on. Like, this is a big time commitment, a lot more than I was anticipating. But from what I've gathered, this is by far the hardest of the 3 dojos, which, you know, I'm hoping that is the case, because I've got to go through this sodding thing another 2 times for episodes 2 and 3. But I think this particular one, you only have a lightsaber, but I think that in the second and third ones you get more abilities, like you get the ability to use the Force possibly in the next one, and maybe the Force Lightning for the third one. But from what I read online, because I was looking online, I was like, how am I struggling so much with this? Is this everyone's experience, or am I getting it wrong? And I've seen more people say that the first one is the most challenging. So yeah, we'll just have to see how we do on the other ones. But now that I've done this first one, it's sort of given me confidence that I will eventually be able to do the others, even if it does take me a while to do them. But yeah. Yeah, even now, I'm still struggling with deflecting the bolts back at them accurately. Yeah, it doesn't exactly look elegant sometimes when I'm swiping at these droids, but I'm not asked about how I look. I just want to kill them as soon as possible. You are basically like sort of wiggling the stick towards the TV. Doesn't look beautiful, but you need to take out those droids ASAP in order to get through the level in time. I think it was this next level. Yeah, you can see my saber actually glitching out a little bit. Like, that's not me, you know, getting the shakes. That's the game glitching out on me a little bit. But yeah, I think level 29. I think I would say this was the hardest level in the entire set for me. I think I spent at least maybe a couple of hours on this particular level, like across several different nights. So. But I think what was difficult about this one I found was not only actually doing it, but doing it in time. There was a time that I did actually manage to survive to the end without taking damage, and then I actually ran out of time. So not only because this is a long level as well, there are many different droids you're gonna have to take out in this one, and you've got to do it quick enough and hope that like, so you can see with that one, with the saber's actually pushing in towards me. Like, that can happen. And sometimes you can be lucky enough that the deflection will work and it'll stun the droid. Other times, you'll take damage, which is, you know, bogus, but is what it is. Which you can see, the shooty droids have stopped spawning in now. I took that one out before it had a chance to hit me. So you can just focus on these now without having to deflect. But yeah, those ones are good to take out because the other droids do wait for those to shoot. It's not like they'll attack you and they'll shoot you at the same time. So if you're waiting on the ones in the background, the shooting droids, to take their hit, that can waste many seconds. So if you can take those out early and just leave it to these droids to spy you, they do tend to attack more frequently, so you can take them out. But yeah, very challenging. I remember how elated I was to get to the other levels, like, oh my god, thank god for that. And you see with that, I did it with like 25 seconds to spare. It just goes to show how RNG, like, obviously I must have gotten very lucky on that one. Because there were times where it took me right up close to the end of it. But yeah. Obi-Wan the lightsaber. Very nice indeed. We got to level 30. So most of these levels now are just going to cover stuff that we have already done. It's just the waves are going to get longer and the enemies are going to get more aggressive, but we're going to have the same enemies to deal with. So rather than just me talking to you for another 10 waves, as you know, we've still got another 15 or 25 minutes actually to get through. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let you enjoy levels 30 to 39, and I will cut back in at level 40. So I will see you guys there. Alright guys, here we go, at level 40. You can see I'm actually using Darth Vader's lightsaber here. A reward that you get for earning more Imperial Commendations than... It's funny that you actually get this one as what it would expect to be the last reward. There's that droid that I was talking about. This is the last new one that you're going to be dealing with, in which you have to hold the lightsaber pointing downwards rather than the typical way we've been dealing with these other droids. And I tried to avoid fighting these guys as much as possible because I was having a hell of a time getting the saber to deflect correctly, so I basically tried to point the blaster droids bolts towards it as much as possible, because it really, surprisingly, only takes about 3 to 4 hits to actually take it down with bolts. So it can, if you're quite lucky enough, you can easily take them down before they will actually get a chance to strike you. But yeah, you've basically, this one is one of those ones where even though it's an unleashed round, your main goal here is to survive. I think they're pretty generous with the amount of kills that you need. I can't actually quite remember, we'll find out at the end. Because I think I got close to 100 kills overall in the 5.5 minutes that they give you to finish this level, but you are not going... they never got to a point where I got to the end of the level and didn't get enough kills. It was getting to the end of the level. That was the challenge. To survive all through this time without losing all your health, because those big new droids will take out 4 blocks of your health in 1 hit. So if they get you twice, which is quite easily to do, it's game over. If a droid gets you a couple of times, the shooting droid, it's game over. So you started from the beginning. There's a long way to go. That being said, I mean, this did take me a few attempts to get through, not as many as I was expecting, but obviously I've gone through a lot of tough levels at this point. I think it probably took me about maybe 10 attempts to get through this, but as you can see, they're quite easy to deal with if you just direct the bolts toward them. And you will be able to tell if they go down, because you'll hear a massive thud. Well, you hear a thud if they go down, you'll hear a thud if they spawn as well, so yeah. But obviously just keep, you've got a balance between getting all these kills and that. It's deflecting against the ones at the back to try and get the kills, and yeah, it can get quite overwhelming. Like, I think I was quite lucky that this is in a particularly long grinding session for me. I'd gone through quite a lot of the levels in one go, so I was very sort of in the zone, so to speak. I'd very much struggled to do this if I hadn't had some practice in on the other waves earlier. But yeah, I will actually say in this one, take your time if you can. Don't rush to try and get hits and risk getting hit, because they will get evil hits on you in this. They will get some cheap shots on you. Here we go. So you can see I had to point the saber down there, and that one still went through me, even though I was deflecting it. I think at the moment now I'm down to, yeah, you can see 1 bar of health, so anything could end this run now. Just gotta hold on. So just, like I said, play it safe, focus on defense rather than attack. And even with that strategy, you're gonna have to do this a few times, I reckon, unless you get very lucky. This one is gonna take several attempts. But eventually it will just work out for you, and you'll just be able to survive long enough. But that clock will run down. You've just got to be slow with it. Look at that, see? 3 hits, and he was down. But yeah, I would very much just recommend that the 2 strategies for doing this one, to A, take your time, and B, try and take out those new droids with the purple blade out with the shooting droid. Just deflecting the shots towards him, because more often than not, they will do the damage for you, and they can very easily end your run. You see, by this point I can actually, I can see this clock in the corner of my eye. I'm like, come on, come on, come on. My heartbeat is pacing. I think that one of my attempts I got to like 18 seconds left on the clock and then I just died. And to say I was defeated was quite the understatement. As you can see, there we go. And I remember sitting there, seeing the first trophy pop. Got Anakin's lightsaber. There's a gold for finishing all 40 levels. Then I was like, okay, why is it taking so long to give me the other one? There it is. See, there you go. See, you only need 65 to win, and 87 we managed to get in the end to survive there. So I'll just quickly show you Anakin's lightsaber. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time with episode 2. But before I put, let me take a second to thank my amazing patrons. My 5-pen patron is Ron Hyatt. You can find links to his channel as well as my other 3-pen patrons in the description down below. And on the screen, you'll see credits to my 1-pound patrons. Thank you so much, everyone. It's truly appreciated, and it goes a long way to help the channel, so I do thank you a lot for that. And if you should go to Patreon, you can follow link in the description down below. You don't do that, because at the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and if you do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.